Welcome to
Crazy, right?
a podcast
Be your own person.
for those affected by
Crazy, right?
mental health.
I wanted to just try it.
Crazy,
It's something that I've struggled with for a while.
Featuring live improvised music
Now I finally got my head around again.
by your host,
am I right? Crazy,
It feels good to talk about it.
right? Crazy, right?
Dave Asher.
My guest today is Tyler Pistorius. He is a stage and screen actor and filmmaker living in Chicago. His work can be found at the Underground Multiplex and Trance Productions. Tyler, thanks for joining me today here in my studio. I'm going to step over here to my piano. I'm playing some music, you're doing some talking, I might do some talking, we'll both do some listening, and there'll be a musical flow to it.
Cool. Blue. Longing.
Is there anything in your life right now that you would say you are missing? What might you be longing for?
I long for a sense of self-respect. I long for a sense of self-love. A sense of loving myself for exactly who I am.
What is your favorite part about yourself?
My ears. 'Cause I tend to listen more than speak.
What is your favorite thing to listen to?
Laughter and music as well. Specifically classical and ambience. This piano, for instance.
When you're listening to music or laughter, what sensations are going on in your mind?
Sometimes I'll either visualize scenes from movies that haven't been made yet, or things that either only exist in the mind or they do exist elsewhere. It's just that I have not seen them with my own two eyes as of yet.
What would you say is one of your biggest struggles with mental health?
I see myself a lot as a doormat. I am accommodating to a fault. And it takes, and sometimes in certain circumstances, I'll usually wait until a breaking point where my survival instinct will kick in. A lot of my breaking points would be self-destructive behavior. Never exterior destructive behavior. I would never really get particularly bad with others. I would just treat myself terribly. It was my way to cope.
What does that look like? How do you treat yourself badly?
Oh, treating myself badly? Thinking about silly things that are all too common with people who have a similar psychosis like I do, which is thinking that the world's a better place without me. And in terms of the physical manifestation of it, there would be episodes of self-harm.
Can you get in touch with that sensation of when you feel like the world is good without you?
It's like someone saying to you, yes, you're stupid. Yes, you are worthless. Look at you. You're 30 years old and you haven't done a single thing with your life that you are proud of. Take that blade and open up your arms, or close your fist and punch yourself. And maybe the next punch can be your own ticket. I mean, you're not really special. And then, after a self-destructive episode, then there's something that comes like, it's like a hand on a shoulder or an embrace, or a sound of trumpets that just says, stop doing this to yourself. Yes, suicide is an option, but it cannot be one for you. There are people out there who love you. There are people out there who want you to succeed. There are people out there who are going to need your help. Whether it be a project or just a friendly ear to listen to their troubles or a helping hand. You're not a monster. You only think you are.
You're a filmmaker.
Yes. My mental state certainly determines the speed of a production. Sometimes it can take as long as 2 years to even get one script. If I'm unhealthy, the reason why it would take 2 years is that there's a lot of periods where I'm asking myself, is anybody going to care about this? Does anybody want to see this? Is this even good? So lots of self-doubt, lots of anxiety over that. And whenever I am healthy, I say to myself, yeah, F it, just do it. Just write something and then you can rewrite it later.
Have you ever come out of a period of self-doubt and created something that was a reflection of that overcoming of that experience?
I have not done that yet, because I have this philosophy that I am not what I make. That being said, I would not be opposed to trying that out.
So work with me on this now. If you were going to write a screenplay about yourself, or yourself in the guise of another character or story, and it was about your self-character regaining their voice, regaining their confidence. What is this character like? Give this character a name or an occupation or a location.
This character would be a young woman, goes by the name of Blue.
Blue again.
And the reason why I named the character Blue is because color is not just, a shade. There can be an underlying meaning towards color. When I think of the color blue, I think of calm, I think of water, I think of cold, I think of sadness.
So Blue starts as sad?
Blue doesn't just start sad, she starts empty, I would say. Because depression isn't always about being sad. It's about a lot of things beyond that. Not having joy in things that you once loved doing. Not really having much feeling for anything, really. You don't really live, you just exist.
And what's Blue's second act?
Blue's second act would be a close brush with death. And in that moment, that survival instinct, which we all have, because we are all creatures at the end of the day, gives her that taste of life once again. And this death that comes close would be a self-inflicted one. And Blue's third act is that once she's recovered from it, she doesn't just exist anymore, she actually lives. And what helps her get through it is the reinforcement of how many people love Blue and care about Blue's well-being.
I understand you have PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me how you came to have that condition?
This was Valentine's Day of 2008.
Right.
I'm in my movement for the stage class with these big windows I see outside. Mind you, this is in the middle of the winter. Snow is covering the whole ground. And then out the windows we see a group of students running. Some even full sprinting. They're not jogging, they're not walking fast. Full run. None of them had their bags, none of them had their coats on. My attention went to this one young woman who had some type of red substance on her hands and was running towards this little river that would go through the campus. And then another student comes to our building. I go out of the room to open the door, and somebody comes in and shouts, "Shooting, shooting, shooting." And when it comes to PTSD, anytime I hear in the news of another shooting that happens at a school or a church, a movie theater, a mall, a neighborhood. I mean, we're in Chicago. Those happen in neighborhoods all the time. I always think back to seeing all those students run, and I have that feeling of uncertainty, especially when we were placed under lockdown. The thing about shootings is that there's a lot of confusion amidst the horror and the chaos. One of the things that's really uncertain is you don't know if the shooter is going to come to you.
Right.
I was 20 when this happened, and my life forever changed because of it. I wouldn't say for the worst, not completely, because I've learned that sometimes trauma can make you a better person. Not that you should ever experience it, because I hope no one ever goes through this. Ever.
How has it changed you for the better?
We only live once. I mean, we only get to live in these carbon-based bodies one time. And in this vast cosmic arena that this tiny little planet circles around, I think it is really important to just be more kind to one another. We all obviously have the capacity for hate, but we all also possess the capacity for love. And I do believe in love and gratitude and peace.
What was the first moment? I'm thinking there was a moment in your life when you made a choice to be a person who believed in a distinction between love and hate. Was this gradual? Do you remember a first moment when you had a sense of you being someone who could potentially be described as spiritual? If that is a fair description.
Oh, that's a very fair description. I would say that this happened within the same year. When I went to Moscow. At the beginning of the year, there was a shooting. And then at the end of the year, it was my first time out of the country. And there would be instances during my nights out in Moscow where I would think back on that and also think about the relationships and the friendships that I've gained between the shooting and my time in Moscow. And not only was the thought that, you know, we only get to live this life once reinforced, but also that there's a lot of us out there, and there's a lot of very good people out there. Some I would even call as far as great. And I mean, life is worth it, not just for yourself, but for those around you. And then I started to think the fact that life is so short and is so precious and it can end at any moment, that there are times where I just sit and think, I'm really glad that I'm still here.
What's the closing shot with Blue?
I would say that the closing shot is a wide-eyed and content Blue.
What's the location?
Mountains.
Blue's in the mountains.
Wide-eyed and content close-up on the mountains overlooking a vast sea, a vast ocean. A blue ocean, if you will.
Thanks for coming, Tyler.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
Thank you again to my guest, Tyler. You can find Tyler Pistorius at www.theundergroundmultiplex.wordpress.com, on Instagram at tpistorius, that's TPISTORIUS, and also at transfilmproductions.com. Looking forward to more. Take care, Tyler. That wraps up this episode of Crazy Right with Dave Asher. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider writing a review or rating this podcast. And of course, we would love it if you subscribe. I'm Dave Asher, and I'm glad to be here.